She was 14. She had just started high school, still wore braces, still doodled hearts in the margins of her notebooks, still had stuffed animals all over her bed. She was a child. Until the night she wasn't anymore. The man who did it wasn't a stranger. He was her family. Someone who should have protected her. Instead, he stole something she could never get back. And when she found out she was pregnant, she couldn't understand. At first, she just thought she was sick. She'd been throwing up in the mornings and exhausted all the time. Her mom took her to the doctor, expecting a virus, maybe anemia. Instead, they got a test result that shattered everything. 2 pink lines. Her mom sobbed. She didn't. She just sat there, numb, staring at the ceiling. Because how could this be happening? "You're too young," the doctor said. "This pregnancy will be dangerous for you." "She needs an abortion," her mother whispered. "She's just a baby herself." But the law didn't care. The law said no. It didn't matter that she was barely a teenager. It didn't matter that the pregnancy was high risk. It didn't matter that every kick, every flutter, every doctor's appointment was a reminder of what had been done to her, the brutality against her body. She was forced to carry it, forced to watch her body change in ways that she never wanted, forced to sit in a classroom with a belly growing under her school uniform while her classmates whispered behind her back. She was forced to endure labor, to scream through contractions her body wasn't ready for, to deliver a baby she never asked for. And when it was over, when she finally held that child in her shaking arms, a child who shared the same DNA as the man who had raped her, where were the politicians then? Where were the ones who forced her to do this? Where were the ones who told her it was God's plan? Where were the ones who told her she should be grateful? They weren't there. They never are. Because the people writing these laws don't bear their weight. They don't feel the fear. They don't endure the pain. They pass judgment from a distance, safe, untouched, and utterly indifferent. This isn't about protecting life. This is about control. And nothing controls people more than religion. For decades, lawmakers have used religion as a justification to force birth, punish women, strip away medical care, and turn pregnancy into a life sentence instead of a choice. But here's what they don't want you to know. Not all religious people support abortion bans. In synagogues, churches, faith-based organizations across the country, there are people fighting back. Clergy members, faith leaders, entire religious communities standing up and saying, "This is not our God. This is not our faith." Because abortion bans aren't about religion. They're about power, about who gets to decide, about who gets to suffer, and who gets to live. And now, they want more. They want to take away abortion pills, to criminalize doctors, to push for a nation ban that could override state protections completely. And if they succeed, pregnancy will no longer be a choice in America. It will be a sentence. In part 3 of our abortion deep dive, we're exposing how religious became the weapon of the anti-abortion movement and why that should concern everyone. We're also going to talk about the future of abortion healthcare. What happens next? How do we stop this before it's too late? And what a post-Roe America is actually shaping up to look like. Because this isn't just about abortion anymore. It's about who owns your body. And if you don't fight for that choice, someone else will take it from you. This is part 3 of our abortion series. And if you weren't mad before, you will be. Welcome to What the Health. Let's get into it. We've just talked about the very real, very devastating consequences of abortion bans. Women dying because hospitals are too afraid to act. patients resorting to unsafe, dangerous methods to end pregnancies, doctors who are trapped in a legal and moral crisis. But here's the question. Why are these laws happening in the first place? We know they're not based on science. We know they're not based on what's best for patients. We know they're actively causing harm. So what could be driving them? For many lawmakers, the answer's simple. Religion. The fight over abortion is not just political. It's spiritual, moral, and deeply personal. And while many religious groups support abortion rights, others are using their faith to push for nationwide bans. But the real issue? When do personal beliefs cross the line into government control? Let's talk about religion, abortion, and the growing battle between faith and reproductive freedom. For some people, religious beliefs shape their conviction that abortion is wrong. For others, faith is what guides their belief in bodily autonomy and compassion for those facing impossible choices. And then, there are those caught somewhere in the middle. People of faith who struggle to reconcile their personal beliefs with the reality of what abortion bans are doing to real people. So, how do we navigate this? How do we acknowledge deeply held religious convictions while ensuring that they don't override someone else's right to make their own medical decisions? For decades, religious groups, particularly conservative Christian organizations, have been the driving force behind the push to restrict abortion bans. A couple statistics about that. About 61% of Americans say abortion should be legal in most or all cases. But among white evangelical Christians, 74% say abortion should be illegal in most or all cases. The influence for abortion bans are the strongest amongst the Catholic Church, who have historically opposed abortion and has lobbied against reproductive rights worldwide. And as I just mentioned, evangelical Christian groups like Focus on the Family and the Family Research Council have spent millions of dollars lobbying for abortion bans. But the problem with this is we do not live in a theocracy. America was built on the principle of separating church and state. But when it comes to abortion, religious beliefs are dictating public policy, whether or not everyone shares those beliefs. The core issue isn't that some people believe abortion is wrong. The issue is that those personal beliefs are being used to take away rights from everyone. Imagine if the law forced people to follow a religious rule they didn't believe in. Like, what if Catholic dietary restrictions became law for everyone? What if Muslim prayer laws were mandated nationwide? What if Jewish kosher laws were enforced by the government? That would be ridiculous, right? Because people have the right to live according to their own beliefs. Or we're supposed to. So why, when it comes to abortion, is it acceptable for one religious perspective to dictate the law for millions of people who don't share those beliefs? But what's the answer? How do we respect religious beliefs without allowing them to override medical care and personal rights? I'm going to tell you 3 ways that we can accomplish this. One is by reaffirming the separation of church and state. The First Amendment guarantees that no religion can dictate public policy. Legislation should be based on science, not religious doctrine. Way number 2, passing religious freedom protection laws for abortion access. Some states are passing laws that protect abortion rights under religious freedom. An example is Jewish organizations have sued to block abortion bans, arguing that they violate religious liberty. And another way we can do this is educating faith communities on the reality of abortion. Many religious leaders support reproductive rights, and some clergy members provide abortion counseling and support. The pro-life movement often ignores the suffering caused by forced birth. Here's the bottom line. Faith is deeply personal. Abortion is deeply personal. But we cannot allow personal religious beliefs to dictate the healthcare of an entire nation. If your faith tells you abortion is wrong, then don't have one. But if someone else's faith or personal beliefs or life circumstances lead them to make a different decision, that is between them, their doctor, and whatever higher power they believe in, not the government. Because freedom of religion also means freedom from religion, and no one should be forced to live by someone else's faith when it comes to their own body. So where do we go from here? How do we fight back against these bans? And can abortion protections be restored before more lives are lost? All right, so we have talked about the laws, we've talked about the lawsuits, we've talked about the devastating, life-altering consequences that real people are facing every day because of these restrictions. We've just explored how religious beliefs shape abortion laws. And look, please don't misconstrue what I'm saying. Faith is powerful. It gives people meaning. It guides decisions. It shapes entire worldviews. But faith should never be forced onto others, especially not in medical decisions. Because at the end of the day, your beliefs should govern your life, not somebody else's. So where do we go from here? Let's talk about the future of reproductive health care. Right now, we're at a crossroads. The future of abortion access in America could go in one of three directions. 1, a national abortion ban. 2, state-by-state battles. Or 3, restoring federal protection. So let's break these down. I'm going to start with the first one, which I believe is the worst case scenario, a national abortion ban. If Republicans gain control of Congress and the White House, a national abortion ban is on the table. And make no mistake, they are not being subtle about it. First thing that they want to introduce is a 15-week national abortion ban proposal. First introduced in 2022, this bill would ban abortion nationwide after 15 weeks, even in states where it's currently legal. There are no exceptions for fetal anomalies, limited exceptions for rape and incest. It did fail in the Senate in 23, but is expected to be reintroduced if conservatives take power. But that's not the end game. Many lawmakers are pushing for a national full abortion ban. Another bill that's on the table is the Life at Conception Act. This is a proposed bill that would ban abortion from the moment of fertilization, meaning even IVF and some forms of birth control could be criminalized. If passed, it would override state protections, meaning abortion would be illegal everywhere, no exception. And why does this matter? Even if you live in California, New York, or Oregon, if a federal abortion ban is passed, it won't matter what your state says. The law would be the law. And this is why elections matter, guys. Because if the wrong people gain control, they will try to take abortion access away from everyone, everywhere. But if a national ban doesn't happen, we'll likely stay where we are now, a fragmented system where your rights depend entirely on your zip code. Right now, abortion access is broken down into 3 categories. 14 states and DC, where abortion is fully protected. 12 states where abortion is legal, but heavily restricted. And 24 states where abortion is very restricted or banned. The problem? Even in states where abortion is legal, the demand from people traveling out of state has overwhelmed clinics. Patients are traveling hundreds, even thousands of miles to access care. But some states have enacted abortion shield laws to protect providers. The state-by-state approach is not a long-term solution. It creates a system where wealthy people can afford to travel for care while lower-income people are forced to carry pregnancies against their will. It creates legal chaos, where doctors in one state fear being prosecuted by another, and it puts even states with strong abortion protections at risk if the political tide shifts. Which brings us to the best case scenario. restoring federal protections, rebuilding Roe and beyond. The only way to guarantee abortion rights in America for everyone is to enshrine them in federal law. And there's a plan to do exactly that. The Women's Health Protection Act, Restoring Roe v. Wade. This is a bill designed to codify the protections of Roe v. Wade into federal law. It would override state bans, ensuring abortion remains legal nationwide. It has passed the House before, but was blocked in the Senate. But could it still pass? Yeah. But it depends on who is in power. If Democrats control the House, Senate, and White House after the next election, this could be one of their first priorities. What would it take? Well, it'd take a pro-choice majority in Congress, the end of the Senate filibuster, which currently blocks abortion legislation, and a president who will sign it into law. It's not impossible. It has been done before. And if enough people vote, it can be done again. So even if federal protections take time, there are ways to expand abortion access now. I'm going to tell you about 3 possible solutions. One is telemedicine abortion, crossing state lines digitally. This is where doctors are allowed to prescribe abortion pills via telehealth, even to patients in banned states. The FDA has loosened its regulations on mailing mifepristone. Remember the abortion pill we talked about in episode 2? But there's still some legal battles surrounding this. Another way is the rise of shield laws, protecting providers from other states. California, Massachusetts, and New York have passed laws protecting doctors who provide abortion care to out-of-state patients. These laws essentially block other states from prosecuting doctors who legally provide abortion in their own state. Another way is to expand abortion funds and travel networks. Organizations like the National Network of Abortion Funds help patients afford travel, lodging, and care when they have to go out of state in order to get abortion health care. So where do we go from here? What happens next? If you believe abortion should be accessible, you have power. You can vote. You can support abortion funds. You can speak out. Because this fight isn't just about the law. It's about real people, real lives, and real suffering. And if you believe that no one should be forced to stay pregnant against their will, that no one should have to beg for life-saving medical care, that no one should have to travel thousands of miles just to access basic health care, the time to act is now. Because one thing is clear, the future of abortion in America is not set in stone. It is being written right now. We have covered a ton over the last 3 episodes. We've talked about the laws, the bans, the court cases. We've talked about the real people who are suffering under these restrictions, the women forced to carry non-viable pregnancies, the doctors who are too afraid to treat their patients, and the families that are shattered by laws that ignore their pain. We've broken down the role of religion in shaping abortion policy, how personal beliefs, when turned into law, strip away individual freedom. And we've looked at where things are headed, whether we're moving toward a national abortion ban, a continued state-by-state fight, or the long battle to restore federal protections. The truth is, abortion bans don't just control pregnancy. They control people. They tell you what you can and can't do with your own body. They decide who gets to live, who gets to suffer, and who gets to have a future. If you take one thing away from today, let it be this: you are not powerless. If you believe in reproductive freedom, vote. If you want to protect abortion access, support abortion funds. If you want to make a difference, get involved, call your representatives, join advocacy groups, educate people in your own circles. One of the biggest ways that you can take action right now is to stay informed and speak out. Laws are changing every single day. Stay updated. Correct misinformation you hear people saying. Have conversations. Talk to your family, your friends, your community, your church. because one-on-one discussions change minds. And the biggest thing that I would say that you can do to take action is to vote like your lives depend on it, because they do. Elections decide who writes our laws, who sits on our courts, and who has the power to shape reproductive rights for generations to come. And make no mistake, local elections matter. Governors, state legislatures, attorneys general, they have the power to protect or strip away abortion rights in your state. Because at the end of the day, politicians don't pass abortion bans because they're popular. They pass them because they think people won't fight back. Prove them wrong. The future of abortion access in America isn't set in stone. It is being written now. And if history has taught us anything, it's that when enough people stand up, speak out, and refuse to accept oppression, change happens. So let's ask ourselves, what kind of future do we want? A future where politicians decide if you live or die? A future where doctors are too afraid to save lives? A future where healthcare is a crime? Or a future where abortion is safe, legal, and accessible? A future where no one is forced to carry a pregnancy they don't want? A future where healthcare is a right, not a privilege? That future is possible, but we have to be willing to fight for it. Next time on What the Health, we're tackling another urgent issue, the growing maternal mortality crisis in the U.S. and why, despite all of our medical advancements, more women are dying during pregnancy and childbirth than ever before. Because abortion bans aren't just about reproductive rights. They're about who gets to survive in a system that's failing the people who need it most. You're not going to want to miss it. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And share this with someone who needs to hear it. Keep asking questions. Keep challenging injustice. Keep standing up for what's right. And until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and always choose kindness.